I got quite a few comments after the last video on this set, both on YouTube and at Video Karma. Lots of interesting theories thrown out there. So let's see where things stand. One, that vertical stripe on the left-hand side is not quite as pronounced with the full-size picture tube. And I also noticed that it varies quite a bit with the fine-tuning to the point where I can pretty much make it disappear, but then the sound isn't so good. Which leads us to another problem, which is that there's a lot of buzzing in the sound. So I'm thinking if I do an alignment, both of those issues might be cleared up. Another one is one we're about to see, I believe, any moment now.
Product that is just right for you. If the fit is not right, we'll send different products until you are completely satisfied. That's our get it right guarantee. Your privacy is assured. Our incontinence,
which is that the horizontal hold kind of stinks. It shouldn't take this long to lock in when you turn the set on. Not a set that's been fully recapped, fresh tubes and all the rest of it. And there you can see that, hear that buzzing in the audio.
Let us make life easier. Call now. And if you're
almost there.
eligible, we'll also send you a free sample.
So one thing that got me thinking, there we go, is we saw how there were so many bad tubes in the IF board, or on the IF board rather. I don't know for sure that I checked the tubes in the sweep board. Remember, there's two circuit boards, one up here with all the IF stages, and one down here with the horizontal and vertical sweep output tubes. I believe the horizontal oscillator and output tube is a 6, or I shouldn't say that. Horizontal oscillator and I think control tube is a 6CG7. That's pretty common, so I know I got a bunch of spares for that. Horizontal output tube I've already swapped out a few times and it made no difference. And by the way, this reception right here is completely wire-free. This is over the air with the built-in UHF antenna. We still have a few low-power UHF channels, and this is one of them. This is part of the Me TV family, so I think we have Me TV, Me 2 TV, U2 TV, and this TV. This would be U2 TV. Rather get Me TV, but they don't broadcast over the air. Only U2 does, which is channel 48 on the UHF dial. Notice how the buzzing went away when I adjusted the fine-tuning. Now it's back. So when I get the absolute best audio, the picture's kind of crappy and vice versa. Notice that stripe is reappearing now that the fine-tuning's off.
Well, you did say that I'll be...
And that's the final problem. I didn't mean to turn it off, but I just accidentally bumped it. Is what the heck is that? That horrible buzzing. It used to happen when I turned this set on, but it seems after I've cycled the power on this a bunch of times, it doesn't. Well, never mind. There it goes on power up. So, what is that? So see that stripe on the side there? I hope that's coming through. As I adjust the fine-tuning, it kind of comes and goes, varies in brightness. It kind of disappears right about here, but the sound isn't so good. The best sound is over here, pretty much, when there's no picture, so alignment is definitely in order for that. Now, as far as what that is, I think that's coming out of the speaker. I've done this a bunch of times and kind of, looked in the back and listened and this and that. And there might not be anything I can do about it. But one thing, if you recall, when I put this chassis back in the cabinet, it was just, I wouldn't say hastily done, but I didn't fully dress up all the leads, tighten out all the nuts and bolts and all that. So it might simply be not everything is connected and grounded up properly, and the leads are not where all they should be. So I'm going to leave that one for now too. Something else I noticed kind of odd is I was starting to use some Howard's Restore finish on the cabinet. Finished up with this side, all the paint flecks are gone. This is all the original finish, looking fine. Got over to this side and check out the legs. Here, the color of the leg is the same as the cabinet, all the way down. On this side, especially at the top, leg is noticeably darker than the cabinet. I'm not quite sure why that would be. The lighting isn't so hot right now, but I hope that's coming through. No big deal. I mean, it is what it is. Let's see if there's anything else worth watching on the UHF dial. But then we got, I think, 4, maybe 5 stations so far. Just using the little built-in loop antenna. I think I'm all the way at one end of the dial, start going back the other way.
If you guys dated, were you going to expect?
There's that. Is it all on?
A piece that will come over their souls.
So you can see, aside from the buzzing, I mean, that's pretty darn good for low power over the air using the built-in antenna.
Amen. We're going to continue to talk about
Oops, going the wrong way.
is on.
Alright, so we got 2 nice clear strong stations so far. Oh, here's the other one. This is the ethnic one. Sometimes it's Greek, sometimes it's Polish. Right now it's Korean.
이제까지 내 너의 뒤를 돌봐주었거나 앞으로는 시아버지 며느리.
There's one that's not so hot. Not sure what station this is. I don't know how long these stations are still going to be around, but it is really handy to be able to pick these up without having to fire up a blunter tongue transmitter or connect a cable to them. No idea what that is. And that's the end of the dial. Alright, so I have 3 or 4 pretty strong stations I can fire up anytime. Maybe not the best programming, but great for testing out a set. And finally, there's the top of the cabinet, which is coming along very nicely. It was quite tedious, but I finally finished masking off the set so I can spray on some final coats of finish. Up until now, I've been brushing on. And I've got the lacquer sanding sealer now completely smooth, so next up, a little medium brown walnut toner, and then some clear coats after that. Lacquer dries pretty darn quick, especially on a warm day like today, so as it travels from the nozzle, once it gets more than, say, a couple feet, it really dries in the air and just falls as dust, so I'm not concerned about getting the very tips of the legs masked off, or even my floor for that matter. Plus, I'm not going to be using a whole lot, just light spray, maybe 2, say the most 3 passes of the brown toner, and then moving on to the clear coat after that. Oh, and I should mention that I've learned the hard way that you really want to use green painter's tape with lacquer. The blue stuff, the adhesive in it seems to react with the solvents and the lacquer and kind of turn to goo and kind of stick to the lacquer. But the green seems to work just fine. So I first did a ring of green around the whole thing, and then I used some blue, and then I ran out of that, and then I used some regular masking tape, which is just attached to the green, not attached to the actual wood. Here it is after about 3 coats of the medium brown walnut toner. I consulted my photos from when I first got it and compared to the finish on the legs, and I think that's about right. I don't dare go any darker. And I just sprayed on a coat of semi-gloss. The rest of the finish is pretty dull, so I definitely don't want to use gloss on the top of this. Alright, I finally decided that I was happy with the way the top looked, and I pulled off the masking paper. So now I can finally see how good I did on the color match, and I gotta say, it's not bad. This is slightly lighter, and it's slightly more transparent, but unless I get some kind of custom mixing and spraying rig, there's no way I can perfectly match this, but as it is, I think it's perfectly acceptable. So, sometime down the road, after I let this cure a week or 2 or 3 or 4, I'll rub this out, put some wax on it, but for now I'll just leave it alone. And now that I got the masking paper off, I can get back in here and get back to finishing off the electronics.